Hello, Kimara ha'u. That is hello, how are you in Scottish Gaelic. And today, folks, I am going to digress a little from whiskey because there's a very special announcement here in BC. For the first time ever, Isle of Harris gin is available for sale. So this is Isle of Harris gin, which was the first ever gin project that I did back in Scotland when I was a master's student at the Heriot-Watt University doing brewing and distilling. I was very fortunate that I got to develop the recipe and optimise this gin ready for inaugural runs and production in the Isle of Harris. And the Isle of Harris is a very special place. It's somewhere that's always had a huge impact ever since the first day I saw it. Now, if you can picture this, I went like Oban up to the Outer Hebrides, did a trip, a 2-week trip up the Outer Hebrides, and on the day that we reached Harris from North Uist, it was 27 degrees, and we went over the little brow of the hill, and you just see these beautiful white sandy beaches, turquoise blue water like the Caribbean. The sky was just clear blue, and I just couldn't believe it. I thought it was like paradise. Just this place is unbelievable. And I find out from some of the locals that there's a legend that goes, apparently God on the 7th day, the Sabbath, when he was creating the world, he forgot about some jewels that he was supposed to put in the Caribbean. But because it was the Sabbath and he didn't want to disturb his rest, he just threw them out of the window in heaven, and he didn't really know where they ended up. But thankfully, the folk of the Western Isles, they know that it was actually the Outer Hebrides. That's these jewels, and that's where they landed. And honestly, like if these were in the Caribbean, it would just be like strings of hotels. It would be, it'd be overrun with tourists because it is that stunning. But because of the Scottish weather, fortunately, it's left as a pristine wild environment, and you're more likely to see a sheep on the beach than another person. And the colour in the bottle here, this lovely sort of aquamarine blue, that reflects the kind of colour of the sea around Harris. And this pattern here reflects Harris tweed, which is the jacket I'm wearing now, a Harris tweed jacket. And right on the label there's flecks of sugar kelp, and this is the magic ingredient in this gin. It's hand foraged. A guy gets dressed up in a wetsuit and he goes and gets his snorkel on and he dives down and he gets this sugar kelp by hand. And sugar kelp's very interesting. It's like a seaweed, but it's kind of like a sweet salty seaweed, and it's got mannitose in it, which is actually 200 times sweeter than sucrose. So it's a very kind of sweet and salty seaweed with that sort of umami taste as well. So that's the magic ingredient in this gin. And then there's a bunch of other normal sort of gin botanicals as well, like juniper, coriander, angelica root, orris root, bitter orange, things like that. So a beautiful, well balanced gin. So this is the first chance people in BC get to try it. I think it's going to be on sale for $89 plus tax. And this is your chance to taste the Outer Hebrides, one of the most gorgeous places in Scotland, if not the world. It's bottled at a good 45% ABV as well, so if you have a double Isle of Harris gin with a nice tonic, say a Fever Tree or something, and maybe like a bit of garnish, then you're doing well. The background to this gin as well is a grain neutral spirit. It's probably mostly from wheat. But with that neutral background, it really does just allow those botanicals to shine. For the last 3 years, this has been voted the #1 gin in Scotland by consumers. So the consumer survey, Isle of Harris gin, has done phenomenally well. When they first started, they have this vision of the Tarbert 10, like the first 10 people at the distillery to be employed. They're all locals. It's all about helping locals. It's a social distillery. But because this gin has been so successful and so well received around the world, they're now employing almost 40 locals, which is a big chunk of the population of Harris. It's only a population of just around 2,000 people. So this distillery has had a massive impact on the local economy. I think there was about 70,000 visitors last year, which is just incredible for a place like Isle of Harris. I mean, it's about 8 hours to get there from Edinburgh, so it's almost as quick for me to get from Edinburgh to Vancouver as it is to go from Edinburgh to Isle of Harris. So you've really got to want to get there, but if you do, I promise you, it's so worth it. It's an absolutely amazing place, a really close, special place to my heart, and I'm so glad I was part of the journey in developing this gin, and I'm so glad that I've got so many good friends back in Harris, and cheers to you all. Thanks for doing such a good job. So anyone in BC or has not tried this before, I implore you to go out and seek this gin, give it a go, and taste a bit of the Isle of Harris. So in Scottish Gaelic they would say Sinnagadair, which means that's it or that's all. So whenever they're sitting around a peat fire telling each other stories, they'll have a good chinwag and then it'll end with Sinnagadair. So Sinnagadair everyone.